that has come to the fore, and that is particularly about Karnataka. The Congress government in Karnataka seems intent on reversing decisions of its predecessors. Since the government took over a month ago, the state government has made their intent known loud and clear. Today, the Karnataka cabinet met for a crucial meeting, and it was decided that two of the major decisions that were taken by the previous BJP government will be withdrawn. One was to remove certain portions added to the school syllabus, and the other was on the anti-conversion law. I'll take you through both these issues in just a bit, but the political fight is about an overarching thought. The Congress believes BJP's decisions were politically motivated and were to pander to one section of the society. Incidentally, that's the exact reason why the BJP believes that the current dispensation wants to roll these decisions back. In fact, even during a heated pre-election campaign, the BJP, including the Prime Minister, who was a star campaigner of the Saffron Party, had tagged the Congress Party and claimed that they were in reverse gear. The BJP, in fact, said that the state would go into reverse gear if the Congress was voted to power. That narrative, of course, perhaps didn't find resonance with the voters. The Congress is voted to power. They are now in government there. For the Congress, this is a much-needed course correction. So which one is it? Before we open that up, let's deep dive into what exactly the issue is. Now, there is a checklist of the things that the Congress party in Karnataka has its eye on. There are at least 5 of those decisions. Number 1 was to revise the Karnataka government school syllabus. That has been done. That was the first decision that they decided to repeal. The second decision was to repeal the anti-conversion law. That too, done today in the cabinet meeting. The next, revoking the hijab ban in school. The Congress has been talking about revoking and allowing students to wear the hijab in educational institutions if they want to. That is under consideration. Another contentious law that was brought in by the BJP was the cow slaughter law. It's contentious, I say, because that's what the Congress says, and which is why they want to reverse it. That too is under consideration. Another thing that is under consideration by the Congress party is that of the national education policy. Remember, when the NEP was brought in, there were several questions that were being raised, not just by the Congress, but many within the opposition of what exactly the motive was. It was alleged that this was saffronization of education, which is exactly what the Congress also claims. They're now considering scrapping of the NEP altogether as far as the state of Karnataka goes. Now, let's start with the first issue at hand, the war over school curriculum. The Karnataka government has not just removed certain portions, but they've made certain additions as well. Chapters on Savitribai Phule, a poem on Baba Sahib Ambedkar, I beg your pardon, and letters that were penned by Jawaharlal Nehru are added. What's been erased is RSS founder Keshav Baliram Hedgewar's speech. Chapters that were talking about Vinayak Damodar Savarkar have also been taken off. Lessons that were written by Hindutva ideologue Chakravarti Suribere, those two have now been taken off. Next on the list for the Congress government, for the Karnataka government, is the anti-conversion law. A law that has been passed by many BJP ruled states. That too will be withdrawn, says the government, and will be done so on the floor of the assembly when it convenes next. Let's take a quick look at what's transpired so far. In 2021, in December, this bill was adopted by the Legislative Assembly that happened in Belagavi. On 17th May 2022, an ordinance was cleared by the Karnataka governor. The Karnataka government got this anti-conversion law via the ordinance route. 28th September 2022, the Karnataka governor gives his assent to the bill. 21st September 2022, it was passed by a voice vote even as the opposition walked out. So the ordinance was ratified and then became a bill. 15th September 2022, the Legislative Council passed this bill. 15th June this year, that is today, the Siddaramaiah government has decided to repeal this particular law. There is no space for this law, says the Congress government. Now, the allegation against this act is that it's misused. A particular community is being targeted, and that was the only reason why this law was brought in, is the allegation by the Congress party, which is why they want to revoke it. But Karnataka is not the only government to have brought in this law. Neither is the BJP the only party to do so. Let's take you through all the other states in the country where an anti-conversion law is in place. Beginning with Odisha, it was implemented way back in 1967. Arunachal Pradesh, the law was implemented in 1978. It was never enforced though. As far as Chhattisgarh is concerned, it was implemented in 2000. It was amended in 2006 again. Tamil Nadu, it was implemented in 2002. It was repealed in 2006 when there was a government change. Gujarat, it was implemented in 2003. An amendment came to the fore in 2006. It's still in place there in Gujarat. As far as Rajasthan is concerned, the bills were introduced in 2006 and 2008. They did not get the governor or the president's assent, which is why they were in abeyance. As far as Jharkhand goes, it was implemented in 2017. Uttarakhand, another state, implemented this particular anti-conversion law in 2018. Uttar Pradesh brought in an ordinance in 2020. The bill was then passed in the assembly in 2021, a year later. Madhu Pradesh, an ordinance was brought in 2020. The bill passed in 2021 under the BJP government. Karnataka, it was implemented in 2022, and like I pointed out, it was done so via the route of an ordinance. In Haryana too, in 2022, an anti-conversion law was implemented. So what exactly seems to be the issue as far as Karnataka goes, as far as these two decisions go? Is it about course correction like the Congress says, or is it about vote bank compulsion like the BJP alleges? Let's open that up.
Hedgewar, this thing we have taken, taken out. Whatever changes they had done last year and previous year, whatever was there, we have reintroduced, that's all. We have not done anything major about it.
The amendment brought by BJP in 2022 is going to be repealed.
Very unfortunate that Congress always does this by showing RSS, by showing Hedgewar, by showing Savarkar. They want to polarize Muslim votes. Now they want to concentrate on the Muslim vote for the parliamentary election.
Ratan Sharda, researcher of the RSS and an author, joins us on this broadcast. Lavanya Balal, spokesperson of the Congress, also with me on this broadcast. Lavanya Balal, the BJP says that this is not course correction. You're rewriting, retwisting history because you, the Congress party and the government of the day in Karnataka is trying to pander to a certain vote bank, and this is nothing but appeasement.
Good evening. If you look at the vote share in Karnataka, out of the 73% that voted in Karnataka, Congress party got about 42% of the vote share in the state. Now, while people are voting, Hindus also have voted for the Congress party because they believed in the manifesto promises that the Congress party made. One of the promises that we made was look into these amendments that the BJP had brought about in the year 2022. When they made textbook changes, they made the changes in 2022 wherein Nehru Ambedkar was removed. So what Congress has done is basically bring back whatever was in the syllabus in the year 2021, that is Nehru, Ambedkar, Savitribai Phule has been added, Hedgewar, Chakravarti Sulibele and Savarkar have been removed. We have made preamble compulsory. This is something new that the Congress government has done, and these changes are only in the social science textbook of 9th and 10th standard. We have also made national anthem and state anthem as compulsory. Now, when we came to power, before we came to power, we said we will review all the laws or amendments that were made by the BJP, and if need be, we will revoke them. If you remember the textbook revision phase of Karnataka, it was very tumultuous. I mean, there was a lot of opposition by a section of the media. I mean, big personalities of the media, the authors, poets, artists, a lot of them opposed to these changes that the BJP was bringing in. So when there's a huge opposition for any kind of change, then I think it is the duty of the next government which comes into power to look into these matters.
Sure, there was opposition, there were changes that were asked, and there's no problem what the additions were made or the things that were brought back, like you said, which were removed by the predecessing government. But why remove the things that have been removed? And what has been removed is only that of Veer Savarkar, of the RSS founder Hedgewar, and a chapter that was written by a Hindutva ideologue. Isn't that a pattern? That is where the problem lies, says the BJP.
Yeah, well, here is my question as a woman. This is one question. Let aside Savarkar's political work, I would like to ask, for a man who's written a book in which he states rape has to be used as a tool against a section of women to subjugate them. Do you want your children to study about a man like that? I understand in this liberal world, everybody says you should hear every end of the argument, every side of the argument. Fair enough. But do you want your children to study about a man who very famously in his book says rape should be used as a tool against women? I do not want my children to study about that. So it is not a pattern. If we have to take the right decision in the greater good of the state, I think tough decisions have to be taken.
Ratan Sharda, the only chapters that have been removed are of people that do not deserve to be studied. That's the only reason why they've been removed, says the Congress.
See, Congress has been one-eyed person since its birth. It has been since independence. It only believes in one-eyed approach to education, to history, and a very intolerant, very myopic view, where a few families of urban middle-class rich families brought in the independence, forgetting the very long historic record of freedom struggle. Now it is coming slowly, it's coming out. How many people are told about Mr. Shyamji Krishna Verma of Gadar Party, of Raja Mahendra Singh, who actually established Azad Hind Fauj, and so on. I can just keep on naming. Tribal independence struggle, nobody knows. Eastern Front, nobody knows. And when you talk of scientific temper, did only Nehru have scientific temper? Let me just get aside Dr. Hedgewar, Savarkar, because they don't hanker for publicity. They have reached where they are despite all the suppression of historic facts. I will come to something as simple. See, first of all, must object to rape as a tool. She has to produce exact quote and complete reference of that particular para and not defame somebody. Now, coming to more serious issue, does Congress know there was a gentleman called Dharampal? You can tell me when he was born, when he died. He was a Gandhian who wrote Science and Technology of 18th Century way back in 66. He wrote a book on the education system of India way back in 1983. He died in 2006. His books were removed from every shelf, not available. They have been reprinted now. Those were the books which are written on solid references of British documents themselves. Do they know that how much they have told us about INA trials, the naval rebellion in Mumbai, or the Jabalpur rebellion? Because that is what led Attlee to finally agree that we must give freedom. Please read Kalyan De's book, which is based again on British records. So when we don't even talk of that, we talk of Taj Mahal. Did any of these books for last 60 years talked about Ajanta Ellora, the most glorious architectural achievement? Do they talk of Hoysala empires? Look at the traffic that comes to Belur, Halabad, and the traffic go to Taj. How much we know about Cholas, about the seafaring Indians, about the wonderful shipbuilding capabilities? We talk of non-rusting pole in Delhi, but have you ever talked of wood steel or what the kind of wonderful steel we made? No, because we wanted to be shown as backward, poor, orthodox people who had no knowledge, who were horrible. We talked of Pythagoras, we talked about Bhaskar, and we talked of Bodhayan. So none of it. We will not talk of anything which shows Indians having a scientific temper, because for them scientific temper arrived only with Mr. Nehru. That is my basic objection. For 70 years, none of the Congress secular people ever thought it fit to show the positive side of history. The great kings in Karnataka itself, Vijayanagar Empire, how many people have talked about that? How many people go to Hampi? Because there was no arrangement, nothing was done for them, because we have a very poor self-image, and that is what is facing Congress. As to your conversion, you forgot that the first anti-conversion law was brought by Ravi Shankar Shuklaji of Congress in Madhya Pradesh way back in 1950-51 after the inquiry of Niyogi Commission. We will not talk of that. We will not say that we have right to propagate but not right to convert by lure, by fraud or fake means. This bill is typically to satisfy their minority vote bank.
Sure.
This goes against the interest of Hindus. These are few points I can make. I can talk 100 more things.
Sure.
My objection is, forget the Hedgewar, Savarkar. What I just gave a glimpse of what we were. Was it ever included any history books or sociology books or science books or mathematical books? So when we believe that we are not scientific at all, we were useless bunch of people who only reveled in dust and reveled in killing women, then that is what we learn, and that is why we end up with inferiority complex. That is what Congress is carrying.
If I may respond, yeah.
Yes, Ms. Balal, go ahead.
Poonamji, I would like to remind the honorable author. Sir, I studied in a convent school which had state syllabus. I have studied about Chera, Chola, Pandya, Mughal Emperor, Gupta Empire, and I've studied about
all over India. Lavanya, if you learn in Karnataka, how much is about Shivaji or Guru Gobind Singh or any of the other warriors? How much did you know about Raja Ranjit Singh? Or how much did you know about Kashmir history? For us, Kashmir starts with Sheikh Abdullah.
Ratan Sharda,
We
you
had
made
no
your point. Let
previous memory
Lavanya
of
Balal
Kashmir
get her
history.
say as well.
Not to speak over me.
Yes,
Sir,
Lavanya Balal. Lavanya Balal, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, sir. I've studied about the Kashmir Empire, Kashmir Kingdom as well. I've studied about that as well, sir. I'm not sure which school you have studied. Certainly, the state syllabus school that you have studied in lacks a lot because they have not taught any of this for you.
That was
I
also
would
Congress. That was
Sir,
also Congress or
please maintain the
Maharashtra.
decorum. So you're
That
a
is
senior
Congress
gentleman.
government.
Please maintain the decorum, sir. You're a senior gentleman. Please maintain the decorum. Also, when we are talking about the anti-conversion bill, I would like to point out that there was a witch hunt in Karnataka by the Bommai government wherein they went ahead and said there was an MLA, BJP MLA, who said there's forcible conversion going on in our part of Karnataka. And then there was a fact-finding committee headed by the Tahsildar of the place who came back and said the people who have converted there, who belong to the oppressed communities of the Hindu religion, said they have converted willingly and they are happy after conversion. But then the Tahsildar was also penalized, and the BJP government made an amendment that if you, two people of two different religion, you're going to get married, you have to inform the DC 90 days before the wedding. And anybody, it need not be relatives or friends, anybody who says there is an objection, that objection will be taken seriously, and the people who are converting or who will be converting will be penalized, will be questioned, is what the amendment was. So all that Congress government is currently doing is giving their self-respect back to people who want to convert if they want to convert. There is no forcible conversion. If there is forcible conversion, then the laws are in place.
Sure, the law that was brought in as far as the anti-conversion law is, there were questions that were raised in the manner in which it was brought as well. That it was hastily brought, it was done so through an ordinance route. The opposition walked out when there was an attempt to ratify it in the assembly. The manner in which the law was brought in, that also is something that is an issue, Ratan Sharda, and that is an objection that has been raised by everybody else in the opposition as well as far as an anti-conversion law is concerned across many other states.
See, that is for BJP to respond why they brought in the law the way they brought in, but I don't believe law is wrong. I believe I have enough evidence to show that there have been forced conversion, there have been conversion with fraud and allurement. Are they okay? They are not okay. So when you give some allurement to a person to convert, when you mislead the person to believe that only because he got Jesus' name he got cured and he was given placebo till that time, that is also fraud. And when you make them do this dance drama and all that you see with those Changai Sabhas, that is also fraud. Will we agree to that? We will not agree. And when I talked about MP's anti-conversion law, that was Congress minister, Congress chief minister, Congress Raj. So this particular issue, and as I said, history book she talked about, madam, I have learnt in Maharashtra, which was under Congress for years together, from donkey's years. I am talking of all India where Congress and seculars are, ruling for years together, where we do not know the glory of our seafarers, we do not know the glory of our chemistry, our mathematics. It was never taught. I have studied science, I have studied arts, I have studied textiles. So I know enough. I have been around. I can tell you this is not known to people across India. You have, when you talk of Karnataka, I am talking of how much an Indian knows about our cultural, our historical, scientific temperament.
So perhaps then is there an overarching need to relook into the education system as a whole to the kind of syllabus that we have across different states? Is that the solution? Meanwhile, the political war of words continues.
There is no answer.
Those questions are being raised, Ratan Sharda, of the kind of inclusions and exclusions that have been made. But is there an overarching need as far as overhaul of syllabus is concerned? The National Education Policy tried to get in that as well. There's opposition to that as well. Unfortunately, these changes are also coming in at a time when the academic year is right there. Does this not cause confusion among students as well? We're learning something for 2 years, then relearning them. That is also a concern for a lot of parents, for a lot of academicians as well. The timing of all of this, is that ill thought out? That is also a concern that has been raised. But unfortunately, I'm completely out of time and I have to leave it at that. I thank you both for joining us here on this broadcast on The Right Stand. We are slipping into a